Hey everyone, welcome to Shoot On. Hunting season is just around the corner, and a lot of you guys and gals are probably going to be installing new scopes onto your hunting rifles. So we're over at Lou's shop today. Lou's been doing gunsmithing work for 20 plus years, and he's going to walk through the process of installing a scope from the mounts up and doing it the proper way and throwing some helpful hints and tips that you may or may not know about. So we're going to be installing a TRUGLO Intercept rifle scope on this Remington 700, and we're also going to be using the real Avid Level Right Pro system, and that is designed to make sure that you're getting your scope installed with the reticle vertical. That's important for longer range shooting especially, but it's also good regardless of what you're shooting or what distances, to make sure that your scope is lined up properly. So Lou's going to walk us through that process, and let's get started.
Yeah, let's go. Prior to mounting our rifle scope, we're going to need to determine what height rings that are going to be needed. Now, it's conducive to good marksmanship if our rifle scope is mounted as close to the receiver as possible. Now, the easiest way I found to determine scope ring height is simply stacking pennies, holding the stack together with Scotch tape, and adjusting the stack as needed to provide at least 1/16 of an inch clearance between the objective lens and the rifle's barrel. Now, you may need to adjust that a little bit if you plan on using one of the slip-on type scope caps, such as those from Butler Creek. Once you have the proper height determined using your stack of pennies, you simply measure the stack and buy the scope rings that are closest to that height. To have a proper bond of thread locking compound, which what we'll be using in this application is the blue Loctite, all screws and screw threads need to be degreased thoroughly using denatured alcohol. Along with that, degrease all mounting surfaces such as the rifle's receiver and the scope rings and bases. With all the parts being degreased, mount the bases at this time. However, do not use blue Loctite on the screws, as we may be removing them depending on the results of our check with our alignment rods. Use scope alignment rods to ensure proper alignment of rings and bases. If needed, shim kits are available from gunsmithing suppliers such as Brownells and Midway. Proper alignment having been achieved, remove the screws from the rings and bases one at a time, apply blue Loctite, and torque to manufacturer specification. In order to increase friction within the rings and to help hold the scope in place, apply a light coat of powdered rosin within the rings. Place the scope in the rings, however, do not tighten everything down at this time, as our next step is to set proper eye relief, and we're going to need to be able to move the scope within the rings. With eye relief properly set, mark the location on the scope tube with a piece of masking tape to ensure that that is not lost as we're aligning the reticle using the Level Right Pro. With eye relief properly set on our scope, we will now use the Level Right Pro to ensure that the vertical stadia of the reticle is perpendicular to the Earth's surface. We are able to level our rifle in the bench vise by using the level that is on the Level Right Pro, which takes advantage of the vertical axis that is created by the barrel and the scope of the rifle. Once that is in place, everything is properly level, we turn the projector on, which will project the reticle onto the grid screen placed behind the ocular lens of the scope. With the scope's reticle projected onto the grid of the Level Right Pro, simply rotate the scope, bringing the reticle into proper alignment with the grid. Once alignment is achieved, using blue Loctite, tighten the ring cap screws down to proper manufacturer specification.